When some were speaking about the temple, how it was adorned with beautiful stones and gifts dedicated to God, Jesus said, "As for these things that you see, the days will come when not one stone will be left upon another. All will be thrown down." They asked him, "Teacher, when will this be, and what will be the sign that this is about to take place?" And Jesus said, "Beware that you are not led astray, for many will come in my name and say, 'I am he,' and the time is near. Do not go after them. When you hear of wars and insurrections, do not be terrified, for these things must take place first, but the end will not follow immediately." Then he said to them, "Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be great earthquakes, and in various places famines and plagues. And there will be dreadful portents and great signs from heaven. But before all this occurs, they will arrest you and persecute you. They will hand you over to synagogues and prisons, and you will be brought before kings and governors because of my name. This will give you an opportunity to testify. So make up your minds not to prepare your defense in advance, for I will give you words and a wisdom that none of your opponents will be able to withstand or contradict. You will be betrayed even by parents and brothers, by relatives and friends, and they will put some of you to death. You will be hated by all because of my name, but not a hair of your head will perish. By your endurance, you will gain your souls." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Christ.
Holy and loving God, write a message on our hearts. Bless us, direct us, send us out, living letters of the word. Amen. Please be seated. I have a very dear friend from college who lives across the country in Seattle. He is one of those friends who we might not talk for weeks or months or even years. But if he ever called and needed help or a favor or just an ear to listen, I would do whatever he needed without a second thought. And I know he would do the same for me. And ever since I've been ordained, my friend will call often at odd hours of the evening, for he forgets about the time change from Pacific to Eastern time. And he will call with random and sometimes bizarre questions about theology. His questions range from the very specific, why does God do this, or why did Jesus do that, to the more obscure, will I see my dog in heaven? Or one of my favorites, will there be frisbee golf in heaven? His questions can be silly, and he may be trying to get a rise out of me, but they often result in a real and sincere discussion about faith and the role of God in our lives. And my friends, explorations are not uncommon. Rather frequently, and I mean several times a week, especially if I'm wearing my collar, I am stopped in the grocery store or in a coffee shop or just the other week in the barber chair and asked sincere and heartfelt questions about God and the faith and the Episcopal Church. Young adults, especially in the United States and in many parts of the world, are searching for meaning and purpose. Many left the church in college or in their 20s. The world is so full of new experiences, new possibilities, new ideas. And the church, with its traditions and antiquated ceremonies, seems strange and not terribly relevant in comparison to a 21st century life. But now, a little older, a little grayer, a little wider, many are seeking something more, something with meaning, something with a reflection of the holy. The other day, a person said to me, I grew up going to church. I went to a religious school, but I went to college and just stopped thinking about spirituality. But now I want to know God. It is quite easy for anyone on any stage of their faith journey to be enamored by the gleaming, exciting gods of the secular world. Social media, consumerism, or division, they are very tempting and designed to be so. And these explorations are not inherently bad, and it is not my intent today to condemn any who have wandered in the wilderness. I have wandered with you. And moreover, returning to the faith can be difficult. We may fear the judgment of institutions that should be welcoming and Christ-like. Furthermore, as we encounter the uncomfortable or sometimes horrifying realities of the world, the presence and mission of God can be difficult to discern. The world might offer a simple answer, while faith can seem murky and mysterious. Our friends in the Old Testament reading from the book of Malachi probably felt the same way. The world at the time of Malachi was not the fantastic place of endless possibility that their ancestors had hoped and prayed for. Instead, their reality was one of an unstable government, a land that was unproductive, periodic natural disasters. One scholar described the time of Malachi as a low ebb, and although the worship in the temple was being formally carried on, the priests were so slovenly in their exercise of this office that they are a standing disgrace to the community and offense to God. Hard to imagine, I know, but let's imagine. Like today, at the time of Malachi, there were questioners and there were wanderers, folks like you and me wondering what place God had in their lives. In their eyes, the arrogant and the evildoers prospered, while their own lives were a struggle at best. But even in this murky, wandering world, God is still relevant and God is a reality. For while the world, as the gospel says, might be adorned with beautiful stones and gifts, the world will also lose its luster and pass away. But God is and will remain God forever and ever. I find it interesting that in the reading from Malachi, which is an apocalyptic book, meaning there's lots of talk about the end of the world and the final judgment and fun things like that, Malachi writes, "The day is coming, burning like an oven, when all the arrogant and evildoers will be stubble. The day that comes shall burn them up." Sounds like fun. So I find it interesting that in the midst of all this gloom and doom, Malachi does not describe God in those terms. Malachi does not describe God as terrible or vengeful. Instead, to paraphrase Malachi, God rises with healing in their wings. Healing wings, not wings of wrath or anger, but healing. Healing that can sweep us up. Healing that values our questions. Healing that appreciates our needs. Even when we've not been in church for a while, God continues to reach out for us. The world may fail, the things around us that once seemed so wonderful and fresh and new might disappoint and eventually fall short of filling the need that we so desperately want to fill. But God will always be there for you and for me and for all of us. We, as pilgrims on the journey of faith, will always wander and question, including young Ethan, who we will baptize in a few moments. Ethan, the world can be difficult, I'm sorry, but do not despair, for we are all in this together. And we who are privileged to stand alongside you and your family this day, we share a mighty faith. And most importantly, God is with you too. God remains constant and steadfast in God's devotion to you and to us and to our journey. God remains no longer how far or how long we wander. God remains and is ready to welcome us back with God's healing wings. Amen.